We're excited to talk about the amnesty program. We've been talking about this and mentioning the word amnesty quite a while, right, Ren? So today we're going to learn about what amnesty is and what the program is like, and of course, how can people benefit from the migration hub, which is going around the country for people that want to participate and benefit from this program. So to give us an insight into all of this, we have representatives from the IOM, the International Organization of Migration. We have Ms. Diane Locke, who's the head officer of the International of IOM.
IOM.
I
Yes.
have to say so much.
Yes, I was gonna. I got stuck there for a minute. Good morning, Ms. Locke. How are you doing?
Morning,
Today?
I'm fine.
It's good to have you. You look so bright and fresh.
She's gonna be dancing, so for James, please get a song ready. Thank
Oh,
you.
really?
Continue on, Kev. Continue on.
Right, and we also have Jacklyn Castillo who's joining us, and she's a National Project Officer at IOM. Good morning, Jackie. How are you today?
Morning. How are you guys?
I'm good. We're good.
You guys look cheerful.
Yeah.
No, we're happy to have
We're
this
happy.
conversation.
And I've had
We are
always
not
a lot of
the
coffee, too.
first hub that you guys had. We were talking about, we saw the lines and we were excited for it. So we said, you know what, this is a conversation we need to be having. We need the exposure out there so people can know what's happening on the scene so they can get involved and a part of it. We don't want no one left behind.
Right, no one less.
Yep.
Right. So you didn't answer us. How are you today? How are you feeling?
I'm
this
great.
morning?
I've been working for like 10 days with the amnesty and everything, but it's great work. So we're happy and excited to talk
Definitely.
about it. We want to get the
Awesome.
information out.
Thank you so much for joining us for us to learn about the hub and really get our viewers in touch with this program. So thank you so much.
Like Kevin said in the beginning, amnesty, I can't think we've dashed that phrase around so much time. We've seen it on the news. People are like, okay, amnesty. But what really is amnesty?
Okay, amnesty is, well, it can be taken in many forms, but the particular one we're talking about is the government's decision to create this opportunity for persons who would not normally have been entitled to something under the law to be able to be considered as a special category to be looked at. And so in doing this amnesty is focused on persons who are living in an irregular capacity in Belize and to some extent regular, they're properly documented, to take advantage of this opportunity to come in and acquire the status of permanent residence. We basically have, it's applicable to nationals of all countries that are resident in Belize. So we have from CARICOM, we have from Central America. We haven't yet encountered anybody from the Middle East or anybody from Asia or anybody from Africa, but I'm certain that they will come out in time as we go to different locations. So our encounter so far is one Jamaican. So we do have a Jamaican gentleman that applied, I think this was in the second day on Sunday in Carzal. He came in and he got his documentation together. And so it's not just for Central Americans. I must
I like that
insist on
clarity
Yeah.
because people are like, it's
Clarifying
only
that.
for Central
No,
America.
it's not only for Central Americans.
Everybody and their granny, auntie, uncle, everywhere.
Once you qualify.
Once you qualify, yes.
And I must say that the government made this decision. IOM supports initiatives like these where you try to give everybody a balanced way of surviving in the country. And so we have offered the government to work along with them in terms of going across the country. The Department of Nationality and Passport has supported us. They've sent the project manager along with us, and we're hoping that for the next time around, we can have participation from the Department of Border Management and Immigration Services and their officers who are very familiar with the procedures to participate along with us because they have the knowledge of what are the documents that are required. So that makes it a lot easier to engage with people and to share information. But we definitely will continue to support because we believe that if we don't do this, people are fearful of coming out. Mm-hmm. And so they probably would be more inclined to want to come out where IOM, we don't have an agenda, so to speak, of trying to turn anybody in or trying to stop you from doing anything, but we want to be helpful and to try to find a solution. And so what we're doing right now is going across the country with the Department of Nationality and Passports and engaging people to come out to see if you qualify. If you qualify, Jacklyn will talk a little bit more about the hubs as we do, the mobile hubs as we're doing them, but we're actually reaching out and actually completing the entire process for people. So when you come to a hub, you would start with seeing what category you fall under, and then we give you a slip with the category that you fall under, and you continue along the path. If you need a statutory declaration, they help you to complete that, and then you have justice of the peace on the ground that they can sign that declaration there. We also provided private services for medical tests to be done, and people took advantage of it. They took advantage of the. So when people left the last hub we had, they basically had a completed application with the exception of the police record. They have to go into the stations, and that's a matter that is being worked out between the department, the Ministry of Immigration and the police department as to how they will facilitate those police records. So most applications were complete. They brought all their documentation, they brought their money.
Good job.
They got their documents completed.
Yeah.
And so it's just a matter, we give it all to them in a folder. And we said to them, look, if you're moving around, take pictures of some of the important documents so that if you're stopped, you can show that I'm preparing for the amnesty and I'm going to qualify. And we saw, I think the majority of persons we saw at that hub had Belizean children. From the categories of what we said, they were all, the majority of, the largest number was from that category. Belizean children. We also encountered a few people who were married to Belizeans. We encountered, I think maybe about 5 of them. If you're a Guatemalan, you would have to go through that process. But if you were from another nationality, under the regular laws of Belize, you qualify for nationality. And so we advise those people, look, this is another option that you have. It would probably be a faster and maybe a cheaper option for you because of the cost. And so that was their decision to take. We found a person who qualified for nationality by descent. Her mother was born in Benque. She had a Guatemalan birth certificate, and she thought, I have to use the amnesty. But she's actually entitled to nationality by descent. So it's important to have immigration with us.
And you mentioned different categories as to the eligibility that people can be part of this program.
We had a lot of asylum seekers.
Just to clarify, for persons that want to know if they're eligible for this, they can go in the Immigration Department website.
Right.
Yes. All the information, there are 8 categories you can qualify under for the amnesty, as you can see. So we can encourage people to go on the immigration website, read up, see which category you qualify under. If you don't understand, there are phone numbers that you can call to get some clarification. It's in English and Spanish for persons who may need, to clarification in a different language. And I know that we have been working on also putting it in Quechua because remember, we do have persons who living down south who speak Quechua. It's not necessarily just Hispanic persons. We have persons who they don't see any border between Guatemala and Belize down south, so they cross over and they too need to qualify for the amnesty. So we're translating the criteria we have it in Spanish, we're working on having it translated in Quechua so that they can read and understand which category they fall under. And we'll be sharing those on our social media, but in the interim, everyone can go on the immigration website and see the information
Great.
there.
Thanks for that.
What I like about what you were saying, Ms. Locke, is the fact that people go and they can find out all the information of where they qualify for. It's
Yes.
I think it's kind of up in the air thing that you don't even know that you have descent, or you don't know that you can do another route. And I think that's super, super important, that where people can just I might not know everything. I'll bring the documents that I do have, and you guys are gonna figure it out for me along the way. So I think that makes the hub super important to actually just go on trials and check what's happening.
That's what IOM was doing earlier last year. That's what we started to do earlier last year, just going out and sharing information with people so that they were aware of what they were entitled to. And if you had to interface with immigration, and we said to them, well, look, you have to go to the immigration department, but this is what you can go, and you could say to them. And so we did a lot of that last year. We saw between our actual stationary hubs and the mobile hubs, we saw about 2,000 people and shared information with them. And that's a completely different category of people from this one. Some of those persons will qualify under this amnesty, but if I can mention a few of the predominantly categories, there's the asylum seeker category. There is those who grew up in Belize as a child and spent 10 years or more here, and you went to primary school, you have your certificate, secondary school. There was also the group for persons who have Belizean children, persons who are married to Belizeans. You have regular persons who have held several work permits, and persons who have been here but may not have had work permits but have been living here for many years. I think there's also another category of persons who have been in Belize since 2016. So if you've just been living here and you don't have a child, you don't have any of these things, but once you can prove that you have been here since 2016, then that's when you qualify. So they're broad categories. They cover a wide range of people. So there's no excuse for anybody to not want to take advantage. Of course, there will be a few people who don't qualify.
Yeah.
And so
in that regard, as you mentioned, like we want to have people take advantage of this program. Why should people take advantage of it? And what does it do for the larger scope of Belize?
first of all, they need to take advantage of it so that they become regular in the country and that they can function as any normal person walking around, contributing, moving from place to place where they operate businesses. You can formally, don't be afraid to go in and register at the GST so you can pay your taxes.
Right.
We encountered a gentleman who is a farmer. And he says he's been here since, I think, 2017, and he's been getting permits from the pesticide board. So at least he has proof that all those years he has that to prove that he's been registering every year and getting his permits and those kinds of things. But he can do that in a formal way now without having to worry about dodging anybody and those kinds of
The
things.
peace of mind,
One
right?
of,
So that- yeah,
yes,
peace
one
of
of the
mind
things
to move
I've
around.
heard a lot of migrants mention when because we do an intake this when you come into the mobile hub. And that is kind of where we assess what your case is, provide you with information, and that's where we also have the support of the immigration department. And one of the most important things people always say is, I'd like to be able to have my child understand that I have an ID, because they don't have a Belizean ID. They don't have, so it's almost as if they're existing in a space and they don't have an identity. And I think while they have made sacrifices to come here and integrate into the society, it makes them less vulnerable if they're able to access services without a fear that they're going to have any kind of discrimination against them, accessing health services with a Belizean ID, registering their children for school, being able to register their children's birth. Some people have challenges with that just because they don't have a valid ID. I mean, some of them have valid country IDs that they come with, but they don't have a valid, Belizean ID.
Passport, yeah.
Definitely.
And so people talk about these things, and you can see that they do feel vulnerable. And it's important for us to try to see how best we can get into integrate. That's really the main focus of the project, is to lower the vulnerability of the migrant beneficiary. Because can you imagine going into a country and you don't have any ID?
Yeah.
Other than from the country where you come from, and then maybe you're not there by regular means, and then you risk, being found or, being detained. And unfortunately in Belize, I think right now, if you're irregular and you are detained, it's not, we haven't been able to lobby to make it not legal, right?
And also save money in applying for those monthly
Extension.
Extension.
$200
Exactly.
per month.
That's
We
what
have
I'm
met
thinking.
people who have
Yeah.
been applying for extensions from like 2015.
Yeah.
Multiple, and I mean,
It's expensive.
It's very expensive, and so
I want to ask, in regards to, I know that these hubs, the only thing that Ms. Locke said that you don't offer really is the idea of getting your police.
Yes, because you have to go to the police station to do that. And
But
so we
everything else?
we actually help you to complete the form.
Okay.
So we've printed the forms from the police website, and we've printed it, and we've given it to people, help them to complete it. The language is a challenge for some of them, and even reading and writing. And so we have completed the forms to them, and we've said to them, look, you put a picture, and you have to take a copy of whatever ID you have with you. One of the things that is being worked out, a number of these persons do not have a valid ID. So we're also
Not
doing...
a passport or anything.
None of-
Right, they might have
valid
an ID,
picture.
but it's expired.
Oh, okay.
But so you need a picture ID and you need a birth certificate if you're using a picture ID, because you can't just accept an application. If you have a passport, that's perfect, because then it could be valid or not valid. Where we can, we encourage people to apply to get those IDs that they can renewed. So we are providing feedback to the embassies about what we encounter in the field, how many people may want to come in and get a valid ID from you, because they will still need, when you get the amnesty, when you have been approved for the amnesty, you will probably get a card. You may not need to use that passport with the card, because you're just operating in Belize, and the amnesty card would be sufficient. However, if you choose to cross the border to go visit family, because you're legal now, you really and truly need to have a passport, because to cross an international border, you have to have a passport.
Right.
So we also encourage people to do that. While you can apply for the amnesty, if you're approved, if you want to visit your family back in the country of origin, you still need to get a passport, because we're not going to encourage you to do this and then go the wrong way across the river. No, we want you to go across the legal borders, so that could be reflected and it could be recommended. and that way you get it. So there is still a lot of work for the foreign countries' embassies, and we're working with them and trying to encourage them to ask their governments to give priority to providing the birth certificates and providing the passport renewals and the different things that their citizens need in order to qualify for this amnesty.
Right. Thanks for that.
So in regards to what they would need, because generally maybe somebody doesn't know what they need to bring to be able to apply in any way. So what would normally be the basic documents? Because I know, like you said, you've offered everything except for the police report base. But for the most part, they still need to bring something with them.
Yes.
So what would more or less they need to bring so they can be able to access
At the
services
hub,
properly?
at the
Here-
hub,
here
see,
is,
we have.
I don't know if they
could
can
scroll up
scroll
a
up a
bit
little on this.
so that we can look
'Cause
at the
this is-
screen.
Yeah.
We asked
You
for
bring
them to
along-
bring their identity documents, and these
Any
include
document
any
you like.
document that they have, whether it's a birth certificate, a picture ID from their country, DUI, DPI,
Official.
cedula, an official one. We asked them to bring a passport. Even if it's expired, you can still go ahead and bring it. If you're going to use your country ID and your birth certificate, those two things stand alone. If you're going to use the passport stands alone.
Okay.
So you can use either. One of the things that's necessary as a part of the immigration department application, because really it's the immigration department that decides whether or not you're going to qualify, right? We just assist in the process of getting you prepared. They ask that you translate all of your birth certificates into English. So we even offer that. So when you come into the mobile hub, we do the intake. You go and fill out your application form for your police record. And then you go, there are some people sometimes who might need a statutory a declaration, right? We offer you the form. Sometimes you have to leave and get that filled out and come back. We fill out the entire application form for you. And then we offer translation services because it's a part of the requirement for the application form.
And copies.
Right.
Because they're
And
required to take
photocopies.
photocopies of certain documents because the immigration department won't keep them. So like the passport.
One stop.
Right.
Yes,
It's everything.
It's a menu of
come in,
services
you
when
can
you
actually
come to
complete your. The only two things, like I said, we can't do at the hub is one to facilitate the application for the police record, but we help you to complete the application. So it's just a matter of going in and applying for it. And secondly, making the appointment, because what is important for everybody to understand is that in the amnesty, you will be required to make an appointment to get into the registration centers. And this appointment would be made on the immigration's website.
Okay.
So what
Does IOM assist with that as well?
once the website is open for appointments and we are processing persons who have everything complete, then we definitely would make that appointment for them.
Okay.
Once we do that. But that is not open yet. So in the case of Corozal, we'd have to do some follow-up action. We'd have to do have the community leaders that we're working with there follow up with these people to make sure the police record is obtained and maybe provide that service via internet for them. One of the key things that I have to stress that we don't charge for anything that we do. We do it all for free when we invite in the medical providers. Of course, you have to pay them because the service is to them. And but we don't charge for helping anybody to do any of the
All those
services.
photocopies and every single
We do all of
So
that.
we do all
provide
of that. The only thing that the beneficiary has to be prepared to pay for is to pay for the medical when they come in. They take their passport photos as well.
Because you need
there are
those
two
in the
sets of
application.
passport photos and also for the translation of the document. But in regards to assistance with the registration, we do have four migrant hubs across the country that we have supported. We have Child Development Foundation in Belmopan. We have the Belize Red Cross in San Ignacio. We have Humana People to People in Bella Vista. And we recently opened a center in Belize City at the YWCA. So these are, we call them migration resource centers, but they're really strong partners that will help us once we've finished with the mobile hub activity to do the registration online for those people who might
and they will
need
continue to
assistance.
do that work.
The other thing is the immigration department is also offering registration centers. So each district has 3. So for example, in Corozal, it's going to be Corozal Town, Shinosh Village, and San Joaquin. They're going to have a registration center. You might not be able to visit it just due to COVID because they don't want an extensive line. So they're trying to manage crowd control outside. So that's why they're asking for persons to register online.
Okay.
Make
But
the
once
appointment.
you've registered online and you made your appointment, they're going to tell you when to visit the registration center. So I know the department is going to be rolling out that information of where the centers are located. So even though we've started this process, it's like several different things that has to happen in order for us to get persons to benefit from the amnesty. And just to touch base on one thing that was very important for us to roll out these dates, it's very important that we work with the community leaders in each of these municipalities. We've reached out to the mayors, any kind of community engagement persons, village councils,
Chairperson.
chairpersons, House of Representative members. We just want everybody to know these are the locations. Please help us to facilitate and get the persons that we need to get out to benefit from these, from the mobile hub activity. One of the key things are children. We have a lot of children who are in school, you know, but they need to be regularized. So it's very important that persons pay attention to the dates, listen on the ground for the locations, because Belize, I did not know how many villages and towns
Girl,
when I
lots
was.
of villages and all.
Yes, it's like 192, and we're not able to cover every single space. So we just have to try to find the most central space and then ask people to come and visit us there. So that's what we're hoping to do with the mobile hubs as we roll them out.
I think word of mouth is super important right now, so people could try to tell a friend to also, because that's how information a lot of times circulated, sharing, you know, the information. This is a long schedule, and it runs all the way till May 29th.
We'll probably be doing some more.
We'll probably
We've already made the
Because
decision
you
that
said follow-ups too as well.
yes, what we will do, we have these dates starting from May 12th to the 29th, sorry, March 12th to the 29th of May, but we've been doing some discussions because we have, if you notice how big Kaya district is, and from the last analysis of the census, we know that that is the destination and Belize City with the most migrants. So we more than likely will have to, once we have the finances, we will probably be doing some more hubs. And so we'll complete this schedule and then we might continue.
Start again.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say start again,
No,
but we'll
read back.
strategically pick a few of them that
we
will go back.
With the schedule, where can they follow up for that?
It's on the, I'm not
We
sure
will put
yet,
the
but we
schedule
will
on
put
our
it on the IOM
Facebook page. We have it on our
On the
Facebook page.
IOM
We'll put it there because
Facebook
we found out that migrants tend to look at the Facebook page more than they would look at the website.
That's generally everybody.
So we will just pin this at the top of our Facebook page,
Yes.
and then, of course, every time we put a flyer for where we're going, we would put the location of where we're going. But this is just to give people an idea of when we're coming to your community, and so you could look out for that. I'm sure the immigration department, they've advised us that they're going to be doing a public relations campaign, and they will come and talk to you and give you more details about the categories and all of the background, all the official stuff.
There you go.
But in the field, we're working with them in the field to get out there and to help people to get registered and to do this.
And we're happy to do this partnership with the immigration department because really and truly they are the authority. You know, IOM, we focus mostly on safe, orderly migration. So our focus is really assisting persons to understand that migration happens, but it has to happen in a safe and orderly way.
Definitely.
That is one of our biggest concerns. And so partnering with the immigration department gives us an opportunity to not just work as a humanitarian agency, but also to work with the authority, which is the government. Because we really, I mean, the government decides, you know, what happens
Yes.
ultimately. So we're just a partner agency as a UN agency with them.
Yeah.
And so we appreciate the fact that we have been working with them and they have partnered with us. We really want to say thank you to them for that.
And thank you to you representing IOM and taking
Yes.
the initiative to assist people with this process, because there's people that really wanna benefit from this program. Some people that are hesitant, some people that are afraid. So
People don't even know what's
you're
happening
right. So
exactly.
the fact that you ladies are out there doing this good work.
And
thank
we're
you so
doing,
much.
our colleague Paula is also doing some of the rounds on the Spanish media stations to get that information out there to them. I think she did a presentation in one of the stations in Corozal when we went up there. So at least that information got out in that district. We saw about 249 people up there. And so we were estimating about 300 per location that we go.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Because I think, like you said, this is a central hub where you come in and you get everything basically except just like the basic stuff of the police report
Police record and the
appointment.
application, the appointment.
So other than that, that means you really have your package together. All you have to do is make that last thing, because you fill out the police report with them
Right.
too.
Right.
police
Even the
application,
PR
so-
application we fill out with them as well, so that they can understand how the application is completed.
All the pieces, adding in all the children if they need anything more. So as long as they keep that package together, and it's just having maybe the community leaders assist them in getting the police record if they're not too sure of that, and making the appointment. We have heard that there are people out there that are charging. Like I said, we're making certain that we make it very clear that there is no charge for what we do.
Well, is it for medical?
So yes, you would just have to pay for your medical and your passport pictures, and if you need to do a translation. At some of the hubs, we have been assisting vulnerable people, particularly the elderly and people with a lot of children. We have a little bit of funding that we can help to cover some of those through the actual stationary hubs, and we've been doing that. But it's not a whole lot of money, so we don't advertise that. If you come in and we see you're in a vulnerable situation, and a lot of elderly people actually are coming forward and taking advantage of this.
They should. I think, like you mentioned, it's to be regularized. It's to be able to know that you are here, that you can access all the services everybody can access, because you are in the country trying to contribute as well. Been here for so many years.
These are not people who just came across the border. I'm comfortable enough to know, but based on what has been put in place, that these are not people who are just crossing and coming here. The way that the thing is set out, there are people who have been here for a long time, have been living amongst us, have Belizean children going to school. They qualify. It's not like, and our borders are open, but you still don't qualify. We found a lady recently who had, she said she came over, she was seeking asylum. She'd only been here for 2 months. If you're just here for 2 months, you wouldn't qualify under that process. So unless she had already been registered with the refugee department. So we referred her to the refugee department. So we do referrals too.
Like you come to the hub and you figure out your life, basically.
So thank you.
It's a good way for us to explain to you what you qualify for. And before we close, I just want to say, if you notice, a lot of the dates are on weekends, so we want to say thank you to our team. We're a small team, very small. So I want to say thank you to the other team member, Paula, she's Salazar, and I also want to say thank you to our IOM staff, who support us tremendously and give up their weekends and time with their family for us to be out there to get this work done. The immigration department, all our volunteers, our liaison officers that work with our migrant resource centers. We want to just say thank you to them. Without them, it wouldn't be possible. And I just want to extend my gratitude to them for the work that they have been putting in.
And you have all this information, so you can continue to share it.
Yes,
please.
Sure we will.
Definitely.
Yes.
And this is a long list for everybody. People don't check the website, so check the Facebook page. It's going to be pinned at the top with all of the dates that you can be able to know. If you know somebody that can benefit from it, please share the information. Stop keep the thing to yourself.
Belizeans are asking, because we were at a hub and I got a call from somebody who was asking, well, we have somebody who's been with us since 2017, but they were here long before that. How do we? I said, I was happy to know that people are trying to help those that they are coming in contact with. And I'm sure you guys will refer somebody to us, because you must know somebody.
Of course.
Yes, no, definitely. So it's a great way. Refer a friend, get the information out, and please, for all of those out there, go to the hub, because it's a really one-stop kind of thing where you get everything you need for the most part. They fill out, there's translations, there are photocopies that is free, you know you need it. And so please, by all means, come out.